Hey YouTube, DawsonRider here. Welcome to my review for the deluxe EnyaRideon from Avataro Sentai DonBrothers and technically Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger at the same time. This is the first mecha release for DonBrothers, and we got a very unique teaser and lead-in in the Zenkaiger series in episode 42, as there is going to be hybrid elements, so it's really just kind of an interesting point in history, because we haven't really done anything like this before where we get kind of a preview release of a Sentai toy, not to mention the preview in the show itself. You know, Rider sort of does it where we get a look at the new Rider in the movie, and we'll get one of the gimmicks early, but this is the first time we're doing it for Sentai, which is really neat. Before we get started, does anyone want to get out? Before we get started, I just wanted to cut away quick and just show the box, only because it has really cool box art. Alright, so here's the box. I just wanted to highlight it because it has really cool art on there right here of Don Momotaro riding the bike. I think that looks really neat. It kind of reminds me of the good box art we get for Beast Morphers and Dino Fury. And also I wanted to use it to highlight the fact that this guy can actually have the figure of Don Momotaro ride on him. They also released the figure of this guy early. That is on its way to me. I got it from somewhere else, so it's shipping like as of the day that this is coming out. So it's going to be a couple more days before I get the review of it, but I wanted to note that you can do that, which is neat, and I just wanted to show off the cool art on there because I think it's worth noting, and I really like that. So if you're someone that either collects the boxes or saves them for whatever reason, it's kind of a nice little treat. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let me talk about this first. This is the new version of the Sentai Gears that are coming with this, and they honestly look fine. Like, I've always thought Sentai Gears were fine, and this looks pretty neat for what it is. I do really like the way the gold and red play off of each other. I think that looks really neat. And it kind of looks like, to me, they smashed together a Sentai Gear with a Ninja Power Star from Ninja Steel, like, you know, the toys. I mean, obviously, the original stars were from the Ninja, but I mean, I'm talking about the toys we did here in the US. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But we are going to be getting a new version / extension of them in this series. It's also worth noting that there is a first release bonus if you were lucky enough, I guess, quote-unquote lucky enough, of a Zenkaiger one, which I didn't get, and I'm to be honest, since I don't really like Sentai Gears all that much, I'm not that broken up about it, but I wanted to highlight this, and that's how it looks. Also, just to compare it, here it is next to an original recipe Sentai Gear, so you can sort of see how they look, and the differences there in the design, and how they're kind of changing it up for this, kind of having a Ninja Star look as opposed to a Gear look. And then the back is different, obviously, because this has to plug into the bike, so it's obviously not going to have this bit here. And you can also probably take that Zenkaiger gear, or the Zenkaiger gear rather, and put it there if you actually got it. But real quick, before we finish up the rest of the review, let me cut away to show this and the changers. Okay, so let's do the standard one first. It fits in just like your regular Sentai gear. And that is exactly what it says in the show when he summons him, which is kind of funny. Alright, now on to two Kaisers. Okay, so now we can talk about the bike itself, and overall, design-wise, I think it's fine. It's not my favorite thing, but it's not my least favorite thing. I can appreciate it for what it is. I kind of like, you know, the bird look here and the way it goes into the visor. I think that's pretty neat. I do kind of dig the Power Star or the Sentai Gear being on the wheel. I think that's kind of neat. There is a gimmick when you roll the wheel that these two little bits here flap, and that's seconds of fun. That's probably the most fun no one's ever had. So that's at least something. And like overall, I think it looks fine. I want to talk about quality though, just because that has been a sticking point for me in the Zenkaiger line, is I feel the general feel of the quality of them has gone down. And this doesn't feel quite as cheap as something like Two Kaisers Mecha or even Zenkaioh. But it doesn't feel still as high quality as other past Sentai Mecha I've gotten. I think that they're doing cost-cutting measures, but it doesn't feel that cheap like in terms of the plastic or anything, but it does feel a little bit cheaper, and I mainly thought it was worth noting because it feels a little bit flimsy to me, at least mine, in terms terms of like the connection ports. Like when I was transforming this back from the Megazord mode before the review, I was like popping this on and various other pieces would pop off just from like the vibrations. Like I popped this on, this would pop off. You know, I would pop this back on, this would pop off. Maybe that's just mine, but it does feel a little bit flimsier. It's not quite as bad as the others, but I still wish it felt like a little bit more of a high quality product. Also, before we get started, again, does anyone want to get out? I'm sorry, I just rewatched Winter Soldier. You get this. It comes in just a few separate pieces. You just have these pieces here. I just wanted to note. So, I mean, obviously this is how you're going to transform it back, but this was a separate piece, and you snap it on here. And I also wanted to note here that we're obviously going to be taking this helmet piece out. We're going to be folding it out. Spoiler alert when we do the mecha. But when you fold it back in, there's like a little peg system on here and on the floor, and it can sometimes get out of sync, so it's actually hard to get it back in. So when you try to fold this back in, the peg system is out of sync. So that's worth noting. So when you get it separately, you would just have this here, and then this here, you just snap it on and like put it over his eyes like a bird. And this piece, which fell off like I was talking about, went on the bottom here when you got it. And then obviously the gear went here, and then this little piece here was separate, and you just attach it here like this. So it just kind of comes in these separate pieces like that. So yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote for the bike mode, and this is all you can do if you get it, but you can obviously combine it with your Zyuran half of Zenkaioh from the original release. But I want to note that if you don't have Zenkaiger Mecha and you're interested in this, but you're not interested in Zenkaioh, you do not have to buy Zenkaioh. They are coming out with a version that comes with this and the Zyuran half when the regular toys release. So just wait for that and you'll be able to get both. But let's go ahead and transform this guy. It's fairly simple. You don't have to take this off, but I'm just saying it's probably going to fall off at some point. But you take these pieces off here, because we're going to be needing them for other things, and take this piece off here as well, and this piece off here as well. You couldn't tell, this is going to be the foot. And so just twist this, yank this out. I kind of like the way this works. Like you yank this out and you put it over here and then you snap it back in. Like, I don't know, for whatever reason, I just like the way that works. But yank this out and then snap this on over here, and make sure you snap it on this one and not this one. I've at least tried to put this in on this one 15 times. Oh, and the gear actually didn't fall off. This goes over here. And then this will snap on right here. There's a little peg system right there, and you snap it on here. Obviously, we'll have the helmet, but we'll do that afterwards. Okay, now you're just going to bring in the Zyuran half of Zenkaioh, and you're going to snap them together. And you will get sounds for it. And then you unite them by taking this and again folding it out. And you can see there's a little peg there where these line up, and this is what I was talking about, is sometimes it can be hard to get back in there. And then you just snap it on here and the peg goes right here. Just be kind of careful. I don't know if it's mine, but the peg on here is kind of tight. So sometimes I have a hard time getting it in there without it coming apart. So just be careful with it if yours is like mine. And then lastly, you just give him the shield right here. And there you have it. There you have Don Zenkaioh. And oh, there he goes! No, I'm just kidding. But overall, it's not a bad design. I would say just in terms of the general design of it, both like in the toy and in the show, I like it a little bit more off the bat than I did Zenkaiger's last year. Like, Zenkaiger's grew on me fine for what they are, but I think I generally like this design a little bit more for what it is, just off the bat, and it's not too bad. It looks a little bit clunky around here with like this piece hanging off. That look kind of is streamlined a little bit more in the show. I do like the way these two flow together though, especially with the silver and gold. I think that looks really neat, and I think generally the red flows together kind of nicely. And you know, always you're gonna have the Sentai toy looking a little bit worse than the design in the show, although the design in the show is CGI, which is kind of an interesting take on this. But it's overall not bad, and I do kind of appreciate the hybrid idea in the sense that it's something unique, and it makes use of something you might already have in your collection, and if you already have gotten Zenkaioh from collecting it, and then you get this little sneak preview, you get kind of a sneak preview mech from both the show and the preview episode, which is kind of neat. But it's kind of just on par, I think, with my general thoughts on the Zenkaiger mecha and the Zenkaiger quality, which is fine for what it is. I don't think it's too awful, but I don't think it's like the most amazing thing ever either. Now you're probably wondering, what even was Gotham? No, you're probably wondering, can this combine with any of the others? Yes, it can also combine with Vroom. I'm just going to quickly cut away to showing that. Okay, I have Vroom here. He might be a little bit funny because I just took him out of the Zenroku mode, but you can put it in here. Oh, Kobold side. flimsy. Gonna wait for the sound. Okay, so you can see that there, and you also kind of saw a demonstration of what I was talking about it being flimsy. Usually I would cut something like that out, but it kind of demonstrated what I was talking about. Like, I wasn't applying that much force. I was just transforming it like a normal person, and these things will pop off because they feel rather flimsy. But playability-wise, it's nice that you can do this. The blue and red don't look awful together, but this one also does look a little bit hodgepodgey. Makes it look like a little bit of a bootleg mecha, so I'm not as big of a fan of this mode. I don't know if we'll see this in the show or not, you know, either in Zenkaiger or DonBrothers, but it's nice that you can at least do it if you want to, but I think the standard mode looks best. But it's cool that you can do it, but again, that shows off kind of how flimsy it can be. But let's go ahead and get to the final verdict. So overall, I would say that this thing is fine. I think if you like what you see and you're excited for it and you want to combine with your Zenkaiger mecha, I think you'll be happy with it for what it is. It's overall not bad. I don't mind the design overall. I appreciate the hybrid elements. I like some of the way it transforms. My main complaint just really comes in with the flimsiness of it. Like I said, it doesn't feel as bad as some of the other Zenkaiger mecha, but there still is a general lack of quality feeling that really bothers me about some of the recent mecha. Like you just saw with the popping off, that happens all the time, both on and off camera, where I'm not applying that much force or anything, and I'll just do something as simple as like snap this in and this will pop off, and it just can be kind of annoying, and it kind of makes you feel like you're getting a cheap product. Maybe that's just me. Like I said, not as big a deal as some of the other ones, but it is worth noting. Definitely an interesting release for sure. I'll be interested to see what kind of mech we get out of DonBrothers in the future. One thing I can say for sure is I kind of hope we do away with the sing-songy transformations. I did not miss that. But anyways, that's about it for this one, guys. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. DonBrothers signing out.